Hi guys, and welcome back to the Crochet Tour YouTube channel. In today's video I'm bringing you another new crochet tutorial, and this time it's another Ooblets one. So today I'm making Moogy, and as usual with my Ooblets tutorials I've made two different variations. So I've got the common version here, which is the one that I'm making in the video, the blue one, and then I've got the unusual version here, which is the orange one, which I made myself off camera. So there's also obviously the gloomy version too, so you can choose whichever colour scheme you want and follow this video to create that Moogy. So this is quite a simple one. I think this is going to be quite a quick video, so good if you don't have too much time. And yeah, without further ado, let's get into what you'll be needing for this tutorial. For this tutorial you'll be needing aran weight yarn in the following colours: light blue and mid blue. These are going to be the main colours, and you can obviously change these if you're making a different variation of Moogy. Then you'll be needing smaller amounts of these colours, so dark grey, white, yellow, and then a very small amount of black. That's just for the eyebrow details. Then you'll be needing some scissors, you'll be needing your crochet hook. I've got a 4mm crochet hook to go with my aran weight yarn. You can size up or down if you're using a different weight of yarn. You'll be needing a stitch marker. I've just got an offcut of yarn for this. You'll be needing your yarn needle for sewing pieces together. You'll be wanting some safety eyes. I've got some oval 11mm safety eyes here, but you can use whatever you want. You'll be needing some stuffing. You may want some fabric glue to glue down the white part that we're going to put around the eyes. It's not 100% necessary, and you can just be clever in the way that you sort of sew that down to make it secure, but I may be using some fabric glue just to reinforce that. And then finally, this is also optional, you may want some pins for pinning things in place as you're sewing them down. Again, not 100% necessary, but can just make things easier. We're going to start off by crocheting the head / body, and we're going to be working from the top downwards. So we're going to start off with our darker blue yarn, and we're going to be working in a magic circle for round 1. So for round 1 you're going to be doing 6 single crochets in a magic circle. Then just pull on that tail to close up the hole. So that's round 1. Then for round 2 we're just going to increase all the way around, so working 2 single crochets into each stitch, and that's going to get us up to 12 single crochets at the end of round 2. Okay, so at the end of round 2 I've got my 12 single crochets. I'm just going to talk you through the next few rounds as they're just standard increases in increments of 6, and then 1 round of just single crocheting all the way around. So for round 3 you're going to do single crochet increase and repeat 5 more times to get you up to 18 single crochets at the end of the round. Round 4, 2 single crochet increase, repeat 5 more times to get you up to 24 single crochets. Round 5, 3 single crochet increase, repeat 5 more times to get you up to 30 single crochets. And then round 6, single crochet all the way around. I'll meet you when you're about to do your final single crochet of round 6, as we need to then change colour to our lighter blue colour. I'm just about to do my final single crochet of round 6, and as mentioned before I'm going to change to light blue when I do this. So I'm just going to start off my single crochet like normal, but then instead of yarning over in my existing colour, I'm going to yarn over in the light blue, and I'm going to pull that through both the loops as you can see there, and now we've changed colour to our light blue. So I'm just going to take out my stitch marker because I've completed the round now. So now for round 7 we're just going to single crochet all the way around in our light blue colour. So for the first few stitches I'm going to crochet over both tails of the darker blue and the lighter blue colour. So I'm just going to crochet like this over both tails. And now that I've done 3 single crochets crocheting over both tails, I'm just going to cut this darker blue tail now. And I'm going to stop crocheting over the tails. I'm just going to leave them on the inside of the piece. So I'm just going to keep single crocheting all the way around. And I'll meet you when you finished round 7. I finished round 7 and this is what it's looking like. I'm going to just talk you through the next few rounds, as it's just mixtures of rounds of just single crocheting and then a few rounds where we're going to need to do some increasing. So for rounds 8 to 12 you're going to just single crochet all the way around, so 30 single crochets per round. Round 13 you're going to do 9 single crochet increase and repeat that twice more to get you up to 33 single crochets at the end of the round. Round 14 you're just going to single crochet all the way around. Round 15 10 single crochet increase and repeat that twice more to get you up to 36 single crochets at the end of the round. Then round 16 to 17 just single crochet all the way around, and I'll meet you when you've finished round 17. So I've completed round 17 and this is what it looks like. The next thing that I'm going to do is to place the eyes at this point. So you're going to want to get your 2 eyes and the backs to go with them, and you're going to want to place these between rounds 11 and 12, roughly 3 single crochets apart. So I'm just going to count to round 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So this is round 11 and the one underneath is round 12. So we're going to place the eyes between those 2 rounds, roughly 3 single crochets apart. So 1, 2, 3. So the eyes should look something like that when you've placed them, and then you're just going to want to add the backs onto the eyes. And just twist them to make sure that they're positioned correctly if needed. Okay, so once you've done that, the next thing that we're going to do is to add some white outline to the eyes. So grab your white yarn and let's do that next. So I've got my white yarn now and I'm going to start adding an outline to the eyes. So I'm going to do it in 2 parts for each eye. Okay, so you should have something that looks like that. I know it doesn't look perfect at the moment, but I'm going to do some touch-ups to it now to try and make the eyes look a little bit more symmetrical. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just pull on these white tails a little bit just to make sure that everything's quite tight and as tight as it's going to be. So just like that. Then once you've done that, you can knot off those, oops. knot off those 2 white tails on the inside of your piece so that they don't come undone. And you can do some more knotting than that. I might knot a few more times, but that'll do for now. And then what you can do is at this point just decide whether the white part of the eyes you think is sitting nicely enough without any fabric glue and you think it will hold. If it will, then that's absolutely fine. You can just leave it at this point. But if you think that your white parts may potentially move across like this, then what you might want to do is use some fabric glue to glue them in position. So I'm just going to start doing that on one of the eyes now. I just need to wait for the glue to actually come down. Okay, so I'm just gonna add a little bit of glue. You don't need to add loads, just a small dab will do. And then I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. So like that, and I'll just be doing the same thing on this eye as well, and then I'll come back after I finish that, as the next thing that we're going to do is to add the eyebrows with our black yarn. Okay, so now I've got my black yarn and I'm going to add some eyebrows above the eyes. So I'm just going to make them quite small. Just going to redo that one. Okay, so once you've got 2 eyebrows you're happy with, then you can just again knot off the black tails on the inside. Okay, so now we're ready to carry on crocheting the body. In round 18 we're going to start doing some decreases, so we're going to start off by doing 4 single crochets. And I'm going to mark the first one. And then we're going to decrease across the next 2 stitches, so just start off like a normal single crochet. Instead of yarning over and pulling through both loops on your hook, go into the next stitch and pull up a loop as well, and then yarn over and pull through all 3. So I'll just show you that once more. We're going to just continue that pattern all the way around, 4 single crochets and then a decrease. Okay, so I'll meet you when you finished round 18 and you should have 30 single crochets at the end of this round. I've just finished round 18 and this is what it's looking like. So I'm just going to talk you through the next couple of rounds before we need to add some stuffing. So for round 19 you're going to do 3 single crochet decrease and repeat 5 more times to get you down to 24 single crochets. Then for round 20 you're going to do 2 single crochet decrease and repeat 5 more times to get you down to 18 single crochets. So I'll meet you when you finish round 20, as we'll then add stuffing, and then there's just a couple more rounds left to do. I finished round 20 and added my stuffing. Now there's just 2 more rounds left to do. So for round 21 you're going to do single crochet, decrease and repeat 5 more times to get you down to 12 single crochets, and then in round 22 you're going to decrease all the way around to get you down to 6. So I'll meet you when you finish round 22 and show you how to close up the hole remaining. Just finished round 22 and now we need to close up this hole. So if you cut your yarn leaving a little bit of a tail, and then grab your yarn needle, then we're just going to weave this tail through the front loops of each of those remaining 6 single crochets, so just through the front loop only. Okay, then you can just weave that yarn tail through to the back of your work, pull on it gently and then cut it. So this is what the main head / body should look like when you finish that. So the next thing we're going to move on to making now is the beak, so you'll need your yellow yarn for this. The beak is extremely simple and quick to make, so we're going to start off by just chaining 2. Then what we're going to do is just do 1 single crochet into the second chain from hook. You could do it into the front loop if you want, but I'm going to do it into this back bump here. If I can get my crochet hook inside it, there we go. So I'm just doing 1 single crochet. And that is it, that is our beak. So you're just going to cut your yarn, leaving a long enough tail for sewing. And now we can sew the beak to the face, so I'll show you how to do that now. So the first thing I'm going to do is to knot off these 2 tails, just to make the beak kind of a bit more secure and closer together on both sides. So I'm just going to do that. I'm going to just do a double knot like that. Then now that I've got that, I'm going to take my longer tail and just grab my yarn needle, position this beak between the eyes and then start to sew this down. So just going to get that other tail out of the way and start sewing this down. Then I'm going to just keep going along the beak like this, and I'll probably do 1 more whip stitch on this side. Like that. And then I may also just sew down a couple of stitches on the bottom as well, like this. They can be quite tight to get into, as this is only a small little piece, so just take your time and be patient with it. And maybe 1 more. That should hopefully do it. Okay, so yep, I'm happy that that beak is sewn down now, so I'm just going to weave the yarn tail through again to the back of my work. And I'll also try and do the same with the smaller tail. It is a bit short, so it might be a bit harder. Potentially I'll just weave that to the bottom of my work or something. Let's see. Or maybe to the side here. Just like that. And then you can just cut those tails. And then just poke those tails back inside so you can't see that. So that is the beak complete. The next thing that we're going to do is to create a white circle to go on the tummy here. So you're going to need your white yarn for that. I've skipped ahead and done the majority of the work on this piece, as it's exactly the same as rounds 1 to 3 of the head/body. So just as a reminder, you'll need to do 6 single crochets in a magic circle for round 1, then for round 2 increase all the way around to get you up to 12, then for round 3 single crochet increase and repeat that pattern 5 more times to get you up to 18. So that's all I've done here. So once you've done that, come back and I'll show you what to do next. So once you've completed the 3rd round, you're going to cut your yarn, leaving a tail long enough for sewing. Then you're going to just pull that yarn tail through, and then as you can see, that's not very neat, the finish at the end there, so we're going to do a fake single crochet to neaten up the piece and make it more circular looking. So if you turn your work, skip the next single crochet, go into the one after, pull that yarn tail through like that. Then go back to that final single crochet of round 3 in the closest loop to us currently, so this one here, and bring that yarn tail back through again. Now you can see that we've created a fake single crochet here on top of the existing real single crochet, and this just makes it a lot harder to tell where the round ended and makes it more neat. So once you've done that, you're ready to actually sew the piece down to the body. So I'm going to pin this down and show you how I start sewing this. I've pinned the tummy piece beneath the beak and I'm going to start sewing this down, so I'm just going to be whip stitching to sew this. So I'm going to go into one of these blue loops here, then into our white loops and into another blue loop, then white to blue again, and just continue going white to blue, white to blue. So I'm just going to do this all the way around and I'll meet you when I get back to where I started. Finished sewing all the way around, I'm just going to weave my yarn tail through to the back of my work again and cut it, and that will be this part complete. So the next thing we're going to move on to is making a little piece of hair in the darker blue colour, so you're going to need that for the next part. For the hair, we're just going to work this as a row, so we're going to start off by doing a chain of 4. Then again, starting from the second chain from hook, we're going to slip stitch across, so that should be 3 slip stitches. Again, you can go into the front loop if you want. I'm going to go into the back loop. And that is it. I'm going to cut my yarn again, leaving a tail for sewing. And now we're going to sew this to the top of the head. Once again, I'm going to knot the 2 tails first. Then I'm going to get my yarn needle and use the longer tail to sew this to the head. So I'm going to position this at round 1, and I'm just going to again do a similar technique to what I did for the beak. So just sewing down a few stitches. to keep that secure. Trying to avoid this other tail. Okay, then I'm going to sew down a couple more. That is what my hairpiece looks like. So I'm just going to weave my yarn tail through to the back. And again do the same thing with the smaller yarn tail. Okay, so that's what that looks like. I'm just going to cut those yarn tails. So next we're going to move on to making the wings, so you're going to need your lighter blue colour for that. I've gone ahead and made one of the wings. This is what it's going to look like. I'm going to do the other one with you now. So with your lighter blue colour, we're going to start off by doing 4 single crochets in a magic circle for round 1. And we're just going to pull on that tail to close up the hole. Then for rounds 2 to 3, we're just going to single crochet all the way around. So that will be 4 single crochets in each round and 8 in total. So this is quite a tight round, so just take your time with it. I'm also crocheting over that tail, and I'm going to cut that in a second. And now I'm going to continue crocheting. So that's round 2 complete. I'm going to do round 3 now, so again another 4 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I can see that the tail that we've crocheted over here is bulging out a little bit at the bottom, so I'm just going to put my crochet hook inside of the wing and try and neaten this bit up. And if I can't do it, then I may just pull the tail out and cut it, because that doesn't look very good. Okay, I think I've managed to neaten that up. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do 2 slip stitches across the top to close the piece. So I'm going to go into the single crochet, the next one, and then the one opposite on the other side, and just do my slip stitch. Might need to redo that one because I think I went through a loop that I shouldn't have done. So I'm going to try that again. Go into the next single crochet and then into the one opposite, do a slip stitch. There we go, that one's worked. And then going to do the same thing in the next 2 single crochets, and that is the wing complete. So I'm going to cut my yarn, leaving a tail for sewing. And obviously you're going to want 2 wings, so come back when you've got 2 of these and I'll show you how to sew them to the body. As you can see, I've sewn down one of the wings. I'm going to do the other one with you now. So I've just got my yarn needle again. I'm going to thread the tail through, then I'm just going to poke that tail through so I start on the opposite side to where we ended before. You don't have to do that, but that's just how I prefer to sew it down. Then I'm just going to roughly eyeball where that needs to go. I'm not going to pin it down, but you can if you want to. And then I'm going to start whip stitching along the top to sew down to start with. And then what I'm going to do is sew down a couple of stitches at either side as well. So I'm going to start with the front. Just like that. Then I'm going to weave my yarn tail to the back of the wing. And sew down a couple of stitches at the back as well. Just like that. I can see that there's some of the tail that I've crocheted over has kind of poked through, so I'm just going to trim that now, and then I'm going to bring that yarn tail through to the back and then snip it. Okay, so that is both of the wings sewn down. So the final thing that we need to do is to make the legs and then sew those down. So let's do that now with our dark grey yarn. So I've gone ahead and made one of the legs. This is what it looks like. So let's do the other one together now. So again, this is just going to be one row that we're doing. So we're going to start off by chaining 6. And then we're going to slip stitch across, starting from the second chain from hook. Once again, you can work into the front loops, but I'm going to work into the back loops just because I like how that looks a bit better. Final slip stitch, and that's that. So I'm just going to cut my yarn, leaving a tail long enough for sewing, and once again I am going to knot the 2 tails like I have done for the other small pieces in this pattern. So just like that. So once you have 2 legs that look like this, come back and I will show you how to sew them to the bottom of the body. I've sewn down the first leg. I'm going to do the other one with you now. I'm not going to be using pins for this, but you can if you want. So I'm just going to be again whip stitching this down. I'm only going to sew down probably about 4 whip stitches, and that should be enough to keep it in place. Just going to go in this stitch, and then I'll probably do one more and that will do. Just sort of get that in the right position. Okay, and then I'm just going to weave that yarn tail through to the back of my work and the smaller one as well. And then I'll cut those and then we'll be done. Okay, so I'm going to show you a better view of the finished Moogy now. So this is what my finished Moogy looks like. I hope you guys have enjoyed this tutorial and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys!